Hanako's hand reaches for her chest, grabbing her blouse at her heart. I turn and lock the door shut, then freeze. The atmosphere is beginning to feel quite strange. This feeling is only made more profound when I hear the curtains being pulled behind me. It's going to be night soon. We're a guy and a girl in a bedroom. She's closing the curtains and I'm shutting and locking the door. She can't really have that in mind. Can she? I gulp and turn around very, very slowly. Hanako is in the centre of the room, but hasn't turned back to face me. You told me about your past, so I have to tell you about mine. She takes a deep, shuddering breath and pauses for a number of seconds. Her hands move to her ribbon and begin to tug, all but confirming my thoughts. Hanako, please don't say anything. I obediently stay hushed as she slips off her ribbon and continues to unbutton her blouse before working the clip on her bra. The process is slow. Perhaps it just feels slow because of what she's doing. I'm not sure. That's not what you do when a girl is undressing in front of you. You make a little bit of action. Frozen to the spot, all I can do is watch as Hanako, hands trembling, unclips her skirt and lets it drop to the ground. Oh. Well, that's one hell of scarring. And you can see her eye through her fringe, which is slightly odd. Finally, she takes her blouse in her hands and draws it off, her bra falling from her shoulders, and so Hanako stands in the middle of the room all but bared, save for her stockings and underwear. This is me. All of me. My eyes are immediately drawn to the scarring on her back. The skin of her right side is of a similar texture to that of her face, but it's also stretched taut and covering a much larger area. The scarring is by far worse on the shoulder, buttock and thigh. Damn. Just when it gets to the proper nudity bits, I took a selfie of myself a couple days ago to take the piss out of someone who kept doing selfies. So I'm just going to put that over the screen. It's a much more attractive photo, right? Guys, no? No? Okay. Just as my heart attack redefined my life, this is the event that redefined Hanako's. If I'd seen this when I'd first met her, I'd have been shocked. Not only at the sight, but also at the idea that something like this was survivable. But after having had time to get used to the idea, and after seeing the scars on her face, hands and collar, my reaction is more measured. My reaction right now is not due to her scarring, but to her body. The fire happened when I was 8 years old. It was night and we were sleeping when it started. Hanako's voice trembles, the shaking of her blouse giving away the fact that her hands are doing just the same. I curled up into a ball when the fire swept over me. My mother tried to shield me. That's the only reason I lived. Hanako's eyes begin to moisten, her voice cracking under the combined pressure of exposing herself to me like this and reliving those painful memories from so long ago. Well, how about we make it up to her? I want to say something, anything to make her feel better. I can't though. I feel completely useless when faced with a situation like this. She's forcing herself to come close, so close. Yet, it's at times like this that I feel the most distant to her. I'm sorry for making you see this. There's no point in denying the obvious. I think what I should say now, and what Hanako wants me to say now, is the truth. What I genuinely, honestly believe. It doesn't matter. You're a wonderful person, Hanako. Your body doesn't change that. She looks at me for a long time, her breathing uneven as she tries to remain steady amidst the emotions we're both feeling. It feels less like she's looking at me than she's looking through me. I slowly walk towards her and gently place my hands on her shoulders as she lets go of her blouse. She gasps a little, not in fright, but in simple startlement. Being so close to her causes my mind to jumble of feelings. The scarring on her shoulder, plain to see and leather-like to the touch, conflicts strangely with her otherwise soft skin and silky dark hair. Hanako is a girl with all that entails. She's taller than usual for a woman, but still has curves in all the right places. The nape of her neck, just visible thanks to her hair slung over her shoulder, is alluring. I know that I'm not pretty like Lily. I just wanted you to see me. The real me. I've already seen the real you, though. You don't need to take your clothes off for that. Wow. Hisao, the world's worst stud? Damn, son. Okay, and that's where you'll be seeing my selfie. Okie dokie. Her lips are open just a little. She lets out a sharp breath. Thus, without thinking, I breathlessly lean forwards and press my lips to hers. Now we're getting somewhere, Hisao. The kiss lasts only for a fleeting moment before our faces part, our breathing quick and nervous. The feeling of Hanako's mouth lingers, and her eyes remain locked to mine. Trembling a little myself, I remove my tie and begin undoing the buttons of my shirt. Hanako remains standing where she is, looking at the ground in front of her rather than watching me undress. On the one hand, I'm thankful for that. I've always been somewhat self-conscious of my body, but my scarring has made me that quite a lot worse. On the other though, this atmosphere feels very strange. I think she's got it slightly worse than you, Hisao. I mean, if anyone's going to be self-conscious, I know who I'm going to reel back up here. My shirt falls to the floor in a heap, as untidy and crumpled as Hanako's blouse and skirt. Hanako's entire body visibly flinches at the sound of the zipper on my trousers being pulled down. My trousers join my shirt on Hanako's floor next to the bed, as do my socks in short measure. I hesitate before taking off my boxers and end up leaving them on. You're two gentlemen, really. They represent one last hurdle I don't think I can overcome yet. Sheer embarrassment stops me, along with not wanting Hanako to getting even more worked up. My unease about the situation has also left me needing my own stimulation. Hanako. She gives a nod without so much as glancing, and makes her way to the bed as I do. She walks as if her legs were wooden sticks. I find it amusing if I weren't doing exactly the same thing. I take the initiative, turning round and sitting on the side of the bed. I look up to her face to invite her to take a seat either next to me or in front of me, but end up looking awkwardly down to stop myself from staring at her body. That's the whole point of what you're doing. If you can't stare at someone's body whilst doing something like this, then there's something probably wrong. Wow, Hisao, that's not the way you're supposed to do it, mate. It's supposed to be caress, not grope. Oh my god. Nevertheless, she takes her cue and reluctantly sits between my legs. As she does, a rush of sensation hits me at once. The feeling of her being behind against my crotch is the most obvious. But her scent is just as strong. She's worked up a slight sweat already from her nervousness, and the smell and feeling of her hair is washed across my face. I try to put on a smile and try to make the situation a bit more comfortable for her, but it feels really stilted. Deciding to try and move things along, one hand finds itself on her breast as the other rests on her leg. Yeah, Hanako doesn't look all best pleased about that. Her lips purse tightly together as she tries, unsuccessfully, to suppress a squeal of surprise at the action. Sorry, I didn't mean to startle you. Is that what we're going to have to do with Hanako? Like, you just have to say everything you do before you do it with her. So as you get going, it'll just be like harder, 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 etc. But you're trying to make a sound. Let's just move on. Hanako takes a breath and shakes her head as her only reply. A gulp comes from deep in my throat. Missus? Before beginning to move my hand around, feeling and massaging her breast and nipple. It feels really nice. Giving way underneath my palm with just a little firmness. For a while, I don't think it's helping her get in the mood at all, but slowly her eyelids begin to lower. Her breathing slows to a more rhythmic pattern, and her body begins to relax into mine. It's nearly satisfying to be able to make Hanako feel like this. Definitely better than the feeling of her body alone. I can sense a little hard lump brushing against my fingers that wasn't there before too. Oh, okay. I just caught on to what he was talking about. I thought he was talking about his penis, and I was like, that's an odd thing to be feeling there. I slowly move my hand downwards, trying not to surprise her too much. She gives no protest. That means continue on. If a girl doesn't give you protest, it means they're up for it, or they're sleeping. No. Come on, let's move on. We've got all this time, all this series of being serious, and I'm not going to say stupid things now. as if, and my fingers soon begin to move up and down the soft groove between her legs. Her body is pressed against mine now, a thin sheet of sweat on both of us. It just sounds appealing, doesn't it? She feels warm, and all this has more than served to arouse me, as well as her. Hanako gives me a small grasp, my fingers pressing a little harder and moving a little faster, almost instinctively. The girl in front of me, the girl pressing against me, I want her. All of her. Not just one piece. I stop moving my fingers, making Hanako giving a long breath of relief from the feelings welling up inside her. That's the point, you guys can't see the text at the moment, I could be reading anything. Hanako turns into an ogre and splits his sow's head off. No, let's read the real text. Her face looks to mine a little, silent but expectant. See, that sounds kinky. All I do is nod. I don't know which one of us is more apprehensive right now. I push myself back onto the bed, extricating myself from Hanako with a certain amount of reluctance. For her part, she slides back and lies down with her head on her pillow, breathing heavily all the while. Hanako lying in front of me, her panties darken, her chest heaving, her face flushed, and her eyes look into mine. Her scars just make her look all the more unique. I'm left without words that she'd allow me to see her like this. She doesn't look all that happy about it. I bring myself closer to her, closing my hands on her waist. I wait for her to nod before taking a delicate hold of her stockings, taking them up a bit as gently as I can manage. I don't think I can get them off without tearing them, so I end up leaving them on her legs and moving her panties aside. Hanako lies practically naked on her bed. Her most delicate parts and the scarring of her body are now plain to see. In case you hadn't guessed. I'd love to know why they're sweating. And did someone turn the radiator on? Bringing my fingers to her crotch, I stroke a little more, causing her breath to catch. She should be okay if she's this aroused. I open my boxers and move myself up a little on the bed. We all know where this is going. And if you didn't know where this is going, I truly feel for you. Hanako's entire body tenses as I bring myself closer to her, her eyes widening. She's scared? No, I bet she's over the moon about this. She's shy all the time, but over this, she's completely happy about. You pillock. I've also just thought, whilst I'm reading this, you're seeing my face. Ah. Oh dear. I feel for you. I take a long breath before realising something I should have thought of before. I close my eyes and concentrate deeply. My heart thumps away as I focus my mind on its beating. It's faster than usual, of course, but the beat is regular. I think I can keep it in check if I take it this slowly. Brilliant, slowly. Are you okay? I open my eyes and look at her. I guess that must have looked pretty worrying to someone else watching me. Of course it would have. Why wouldn't it? You're just standing there with your eyes closed. Oh dear. I'm okay. I was just making sure that I was. She hesitates a little before nodding. She looks a little less afraid than before, so maybe showing her that I was also worried helped reassure her. I lean over and press my lips to hers, our tongues tentatively touching. I can feel her body becoming less tense under mine, so it's getting both of us back in the right mood. Then I remember something and pull back. I was going to say, what about the condom? Come on, you got to show the kids the right answer. I lean over the side of the bed to where my trousers are, my hand reaching for the back pocket. I feel around blind for a few seconds until a little foil square brushes just underneath my fingertip. True man always has a condom on him. I quickly pull it out and ride myself on the bed, sitting back from Hanako a little and fiddling with the packet. It takes a little while for everything to go on correctly, but eventually the rubber sleeve covers what it should, fitting snugly. My slight confusion at my first time trying to work a condom seems to have amused her a little, and as I position myself over her, we share a small nervous laugh. Now though, I need to try and concentrate. It's just not something I can take seriously without seeming really weird. I look down and try to get my knees and waist in what I think are the right places. Cock, I skip forward, let's go back, and take my penis in my slightly shaking hand. Well, if it stays there too long, you're gonna... Oh god, my brain. Hanako's face is looking at mine, but her eyes are pointed down at where our crotches meet. With a short breath, I position the head and push my hips forward. That's not a good sound for a girl to make. In one stroke, I push myself fully inside of her. Fucking hell, his sound doesn't piss about, does he? The rush of sensations and emotions fills my head, and Hanako yelps in pain. I'm not surprised. For those wondering, by the way, they do not piss around with nudity. This is, yeah, I'd be banned from YouTube were I to show this. Looking at her face makes me feel uneasy. I mistakenly pushed too hard and too fast and caused her more pain than necessary. Neither of us really knows what we're doing, and the last thing I wanted was to hurt her. Hanako opens her eyes again and looks towards me. She must have seen how troubled I look, as she tries her best to put on a happy face. It's not very convincing at all. Put on a happy face. I look down and begin slowly to move my hips again after a few moments to recover. Moments to recover! Moments! Did they literally just look at each other for 2 minutes and went, oh, fuck, I better get on with this, you know? I forgot you were down there, sorry. The movement feels really unnatural, and I can feel muscles moving all over my lower body that I haven't felt moving in this way before. I know I'm putting stress on my heart that I probably shouldn't, as well, and with every movement I keep track of my heart's beat. The feeling inside of Hanako is soft and warm, and if not for the condom deadening a little of the sensation, I doubt I'd be able to last very long at all. Her soft gasps and constant movements don't help at all either. For Hanako's part, the look of pain doesn't really seem to be dissipating as I'd hoped. Her scar tissue causes one side of her body to move a little differently from the other, and the strands of hair by now sticking to her face. I put my arms around her body and lift it up a little. After squirming for both of us, we tried positioning ourselves a bit differently to minimise her pain. With my hands holding her legs, both of us, moving in less and less measured movements by now, the smell of Hanako fills my senses, and from this position, I'm not stressing my body quite as much. My sense of time seems distorted, and I feel like I'm starting to get faint from hyperventilating. I want Hanako to feel good though, and I can't stop now that we've reached this point. Well, you know, the second time's a charm. A new wave of pleasure suddenly begins to wash over me. My feelings are beginning to well up, and I don't think I can control them anymore. I speed up, concentrating less and less on pacing myself. Every time it feels like we found a rhythm, we lose in our movements. From the sound she's making, I don't think this position's helped Hanako feel much better, and I don't think I'm going to be able to hold on much longer either. Just get on with it, it's fine. I turn and lay her back down on the bed. Both of us well beyond the point of doing anything but reaching the end. Is it too late to turn around and just say, shall we call this a draw? Oh dear, no, let's move on. One thrust after another, I begin to feel that point coming, frantically tensing myself to try and stave it off for as long as I can. Hanako! Hanako gives a small shriek as my mind blanks. My waist hits hers with a fair amount of force as I hit the point of climax, and I can feel myself twitching inside of her. Her body twists and turns under mine, only heightening the feelings of euphoria. Euphoria. And we've gone to white. Hi, is it good to see the picture again? Yeah? Cool. And then, after a couple of seconds, it ends. The sound of Hanako's breathing and my own rings in my ears, almost painfully loudly. Hanako holds an arm over her face, her mouth open and gulping in air. As I hold myself over her, suddenly my arms almost give away and my vision distorts, as if someone's grabbed it and pulled it sideways. I let myself fall sideways onto the bed beside the panting Hanako, for fear of falling onto her instead. That's quite bad. We both lie beside each other, naked and pressed against one another in order to fit on a bed made for a single person. My eyes try to focus on the ceiling, to not much success. Pulling a blanket over us to stave off the cold is all I can do. The only sound in the room is that of our breathing. The sweat had accumulated on my body feels uncomfortable. We're both physically and emotionally exhausted, and a complete mess all over. I can't think that's the only thing accumulated off your body. I mean, he said about putting the condom on, but he hasn't actually taken it off yet. And that would kind of be disgusting were he just to leave it on all night. Oh. My vision slowly begins to return to normal as I continue to stare at the ceiling, but my limbs still feel like jelly. I try to concentrate on my chest and find its beat irregular and mildly painful. This is a dangerous time. I have to think this through and not panic. lest I make my situation any worse. With a huge effort, I take control of my erratic breathing, forcing myself to make long, deep breaths. I count half a dozen before I start to feel physically calm again, and press my hand to my chest to assure myself. My heart beats back to normal. I'm okay.